A couple is caught up in hell. Hello beloved, kindly subscribe to join our happy Christian family. Also support this channel through details in description below. I was brought up as a child in my parents' church. My whole family was in that denomination. As a teenager, I walked to this church every day. I've never felt any change in my life. My family drank wine, beer, and all kinds of alcoholic beverages. The doctrine of our ministry did not prohibit that. My parents spoke of transformation and preached against sin, but never obeyed the word. Even the pastor came home drunk and argued with his wife. I did not believe that the Bible transformed lives, and I came to believe that it was just a book. The pastor of the church where my family congregated did not believe in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. For him, prophecies, revelations, healings, visions and signs and wonders could not happen in today's churches. He believed that all this ended up with the apostles of Jesus. I stopped going to church and went to dances and drinks, where I learned to use cigarettes and drink. I met a boy named Auguste and we started dating. We moved in together. Fights began to take place at home and we physically attacked each other until we left marks on each other. Our marital relationship was inconsistent. We thought differently. One wanted to control the other. Our jealousy was the fuel that made us argue. The situation began to get worse. I looked for a different church from where my family congregated. I remembered Jesus and wanted a change in my life. I went to a Pentecostal church and several times fell into demonic manifestations. The Christians of that church believe in supernatural things different from the one in which I congregated. I became part of that church. What made me frustrated was that almost every day I got into church and fell to the ground. A legion took possession of my body and threw me to the ground. It was this legion that made me fight with my husband. I could not free myself. I was going to church, but then I went to the bars. I tried several times to fool my pastor by saying that I was set free. And when I went to worship, I fell to the ground. The pastor said that I was not freed and had to renounce sin in order not to fall more demonized. I could not fool the pastor. And when I started to go to the night parties, I already knew that I was going to fall in demonic manifestation the next day in church. I started to go to another church, where the pastor did not have the same spiritual perception. I did everything I wanted. I drank a lot of alcohol and then entered the church. I was in church almost every day and nothing happened. It was in this church where the devil wanted me and that's where he took me. In that church, the presence of demons is not felt nor their plans revealed. Since the demon did not manifest in me in this church, it brought about a false appearance of liberation. This pastor who does not have discernment anointed me to be an evangelist because I was going every day to his church. I became a member of that church with a false conversion. I did not want to renounce the world and the pleasures and serve in the church. The blind shepherd did not see the demon of the sensuality and seduction that dwelt in me. The pastor allowed me to minister in the church even though I was kneeling. I got married, but it was not official in the papers, I just went to live together. When I got home, fights and arguments with my husband happened. Our fights looked like a boxing match. We got to curl up on the floor. I even broke my husband's nose. He was frightened by my strength, not even a man could hold me. I had a legion of demons that broke everything. One day I was at the bar and the legion entered me. 4 strong men could not hold me or prevent me from breaking the bar chairs. They all fell on their faces from the terrible force that I had. But all this legion entered my body when I drank beer and other drinks. I've always been a frail woman. What gave me strength was the legion that took my body. My husband, even being strong, became afraid of challenging me to a physical fight. The last fight we had when he tried to hit me resulted in his aching body that made him startled. People did not like to see me beat my husband and made plans to poison me. Our relationship was no longer the same and my husband started cheating on me with another woman. I began to like my pastor and the spirit of seduction that was in my life began to act against the pastor. I began to follow my husband until I caught a glimpse of another woman. I had no violent reaction. I started seducing my pastor and we started going out together to the motel. He was married and his wife is a faithful woman. There was no reason for him to betray his wife. She knew that her husband was betraying her and did not want the marriage to be destroyed. She did everything to reconcile with her husband. He was embarrassed by what he did, left his wife and called me to travel with him. He wanted to start a life somewhere else to hide his sins. But from God, no one can hide or flee. I destroyed his marriage and his pastoral ministry. The scandals came to the ears of his members before he left, and this caused a great revolt in the church. I had to leave the church so I would not be attacked by the members. My pastor wanted me to leave my husband and go with him, even though I did not have the courage to go. My husband had visited a church and was converted. He cried a lot and was sorry he had betrayed me. That day he was waiting for me at home. He was surprised when I got home, and even though he betrayed me with another woman, my calm reaction in not wanting to assault him caught his attention. He was different and asked me for forgiveness that night before I slept. My husband had undergone a transformation and was already belonging to Jesus, but I did not know yet. It was that night that God began to work in my life. There was a man praying for my deliverance since I left his church. He was Pastor Oliver, the one who drove the demons out of me. Every time I stepped into his church, the demons were manifesting. The demons took me from that church so I would not be set free. They took me to another church thinking that they would disrupt God's plans in my life. And God told the pastor to intercede for my life, if not the demons would use me to kill my husband and still kill myself. Those were the thoughts that came into my head. That night for the first time I heard my husband's plea for forgiveness. I was unresponsive and started crying unanswered while he slept in peace. I spent the whole dawn thinking about my life and the terrible sins I committed. That night a voice told me, "Do not leave your husband, he will be a great man used in my hands and you will be proud of him." I thought I was going crazy to hear that voice, and I woke up my husband. I was very scared and called my husband to say a prayer. Together we began to feel chills and a strong evil feeling around us. We came to see several demons in our room. One of them approached us and touched the two of us. We both experienced strong headaches that felt like ice rocks in our brains. Demons. My name is Augustin. I say we felt the same pain. The ice of death came upon us with terrible pain. Our body began to stiffen and our level of consciousness began to fall until we opened our eyes again and realized that although we were on earth, our reality was spiritual. Millions and thousands of demons walked the streets, avenues, and others flew through the air. Some had bird wings and were a hybrid mix, part man and part animals. One of those demons chained me and another one arrested my wife. They dragged people like dogs in the chain to a path down to the bottom. It is a very wide road decorated with flowers and full of precious stones. Those flowers were normal, but as I passed them, they started to give out evil cackles. They were devils disguising themselves as flowers. The demon kept dragging me until I stepped on those precious stones.